Welcome to Season 4 of My Wife the Dietitian, a fun, evidence-based weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy living. On today's show, we have marine biologist and child educator Asta Mail. Asta is passionate about helping kids explore and discover the world around us.
My favorite thing to do is allow people to find their own magic in the world and really let them explore and get excited about what they find out in nature.
Stay with us for this fun and thought-provoking episode. Enjoying the show? You can help others find it and enjoy it too by giving us a 5-star rating or review. If you feel like reaching out to us with a question or comment, you can send us an email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit our website at mywifethedietitian.com, as well as our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy the show. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Rob.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Just fine. I'm fine.
It's actually a beautiful sunny day in October, which is crazy because usually it's been raining. But we have a guest with us today. Her name is Asta Mail, and I'm so excited to talk with her.
You know, it's funny. I've only known her as Asta. I never knew her last name. And when she sent us her email address, I thought that was her email address, Asta Mail.
Right.
I'm like, that's cool. It's like Asta Mail.
At Gmail.
At Gmail. I'm like, cool idea.
Yeah, right.
I like that.
Yeah, and she's a marine biologist, a child educator, and a parent. And with her kids, she has a podcast, Penny and Joe. So we're going to talk all about ways to engage your kids and get them involved and excited about the world around them in nature, in the kitchen, in the garden. And this is a really fun episode.
Yeah, she loves working with kids. It seems to be sort of her passion. She's had a lot of experiences in her life where she's involved with kids, and she's really good at it. She's got a ton of great ideas for engaging kids, getting them to bring out their creative side, getting them excited about things that maybe don't seem that exciting. Yeah, so it's a really interesting interview, and it really sheds a light on kind of our world right now and the direction it's heading and what we can do through our kids to help move it in a more positive direction. Sort of like positive future generations kind of thing, you know? It's a really interesting episode.
Yeah, and she works with toddlers to teenagers. Those are her like groups that she works a lot with to get them like citizens in science, like helping them to discover the world around them. And she's so good at it. And, you know, we've known her for over a decade, and she was involved when our kids were young, and now she has young kids of her own. So it's really, you know, comes full circle, and I'm so glad that we got to talk with Asta, and I'm looking forward to having her back on the show sometime soon.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Right on. Well, I hope you stick around. It's a great episode, and yeah, we will be right back with Asta Mail.
We have Asta here, someone that we've known for, over a decade. Yep. And she helped when our kids were young and did the Super Stewards up here in our local hometown. And Asta, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. Can you tell our listeners who you are and what you do in your work and in play too?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Asta Mail, and I am a marine biologist and educator and just overall creative person, I guess. I am involved in lots of different little projects here and there, but my passions are really getting kids out in nature and allowing them to absorb education just from the world around them. So that's my passions. I've spent many years working on tall ships and sailing vessels, teaching marine biology and science outdoors, working with different groups of kids, including Indigenous youth here on the south end of the island. I'm based in Victoria. And my favorite thing to do is allow people to find their own magic in the world and really let them explore and get excited about what they find out in nature.
Oh, I love that. Oh my
Wow.
gosh. It's incredible, like, because when you were working 12 years ago when we met, you were kind of in a different realm of life in terms of your life stage. And now you have 2 kids yourself, eh?
I sure do. I'm a mama of 2. I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they're very rambunctious, very full of energy and life.
Where do they get that from?
Yeah, where do they get that from, right? But they're absolutely awesome kids, and I've been so blessed with their curiosity. They're super, super into finding things out about the world, so it makes it easy for me because I just follow their lead most of the time. But we've been working together to make a podcast recently for the last
so fun
6 months or so, and it's all about raccoons living in Beacon Hill Park here in Victoria. It's called the Penny and Joe podcast, and
Nice.
my daughter and I write the stories together, and then she does all the sound effects as we record.
That's so fun.
It. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Then just the whole process of podcasting that you're doing with your kids is such a learning experience. And oh my gosh, it's another way to get kids interested in the world around them. Plus, like, just learn about life skills, instead of being on their screens all the time. I mean, that's something that a lot of parents are like, what the heck do we do with our kids other than extracurricular and their school? Like, doing family things together I think it's a wonderful thing to raise, independent little humans.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it too. It's really been a cool building experience for the kids to see the show come together and to make up more and more stories on the same theme with the same characters, and to see them kind of take ownership of the project and get really excited about telling people about it and coming up with story ideas has been really, really special for our family. And it's been an awesome way to bond as a group as well.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's such a unique idea.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I know that we were talking a bit before the show just about like getting the kids in the kitchen, and like when you're doing the podcast, like you bring a snack plate because, like, when you bring food to any event, it brings people. So
Yep. Especially kids.
Funny that, right?
But like things that you do with your kids, like in the kitchen, like, because they're pretty young, they're 3 and 6.
That's right.
Okay, so are they starting to kind of get curious in the kitchen about, like, cracking an egg, or just like, starting to like cut vegetables and help with like kind of the mealtime madness?
That's exactly right. Yeah, I actually get them into the kitchen almost every day doing something. And we started with really basic stuff like practicing cracking eggs. And of course, that was a massive mess for quite a long time. But I kind of shifted my mindset with cooking from kind of being irritated with constantly cleaning to kind of accepting the cleaning as an aspect of cooking. And by doing so, I kind of made room for myself to let them make messes in the kitchen. Yeah. And that's actually really helped because, a little mess is 10, 15 minutes of cleanup, but the experience of feeling confident making food for yourself is something that's going to last with them for a really long time. So yeah, we have a great time in the kitchen together. I started them off with really basic stuff, and now they're moving up to things like knife handling, which is slightly frightening when you have a 6-year-old, but I went and got them a special kit that has, special plastic knives that are more safe and proper cutting boards for them to practice on. And we use soft fruit and vegetables and kind of just cut them up for fun as a fun activity for their snack time. So I think my daughter's actually gaining a lot of confidence in the kitchen. And as time goes on, she's more and more excited to kind of come down and get started, even without me, some mornings making pancakes or whatever it happens to be. So yeah, it's going really well over here with that.
Hey, Asta, I'll share a little trick that I learned years ago for cracking an egg. And
yeah?
It works like 90% of the time, and it's super clean.
All right.
So you hold the egg in your hand and you get a knife. It doesn't have to be a sharp knife. It can just be a butter knife. And you just whack the egg, get a pretty good whack, like you're trying to push the knife right through the egg.
Okay.
And it makes a nice clean crack on the top. And then you just stick your thumbs in and break it. If there's no I never understood how people can crack an egg by hitting it on the counter, because it just like breaks the egg.
Yep.
Or the side of a bowl that's got like a big thick side on it. Like this, the knife makes so much sense to me because it's a nice thin like hairline crack, and it's perfect. You can almost just pull the two ends apart.
That's
But you
actually
got
a brilliant idea, and I've never heard anyone talk about that before.
I know a friend of mine showed me that years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's like, it's almost flawless. As long as you hit it hard enough, it works.
Egg
So, yeah,
life hack. I love that.
give it a try.
I will. That'll be the next lesson for the kids.
Because I can't stand the mess either. I mean, like, especially with eggs, because you're like, oh, half of it's on the counter now. Like, there goes my lunch, right? Now
There
I have
goes
to have
lunch.
another egg in order to get
You
enough.
guys have chickens at your place, hey?
True. Yeah.
Helps, yeah. Oh my gosh. I asked someone at work the other day, and he said he's got little kids, like 5 little kids under 8. I can't even believe it.
Wow.
Yeah. And he said he said always, never on the side of a bowl, always on the counter, like on a flat surface. So that's his hack. And then I was watching a movie, and this person was making a cake. And she was a cook, and she said you need 2 bowls. You have to like crack one of the eggs in one of the bowls, and then you pour it into all the eggs. Because if you crack your one egg into all the eggs and you got the shell in there, then you're picking out the shell out of all the eggs. But if you just if you have a separate bowl, which was like, oh, that's genius.
That's really clever. Actually, I never thought of that either. You guys are blowing my mind today.
That's hilarious. I was thinking we need to get the listeners to email us about their cracking eggs hacks, because I love hearing how other people do it, because I'm starting to kind of like survey people, like, how do you crack an egg?
Yeah, it's amazing how many little hacks in the kitchen. If you've just never seen someone do it, you wouldn't know. But there's so many little things, like garlic, for example, the ways people open garlic. There's so many different ways to do that. And I love seeing everyone's different techniques.
Yeah. How do you do it?
I have a special roller, actually. It's like a little tube that you put the cloves in, and you roll it back and forth with your palm, and it sheds all of the skin right off. So they pop out fully clean and ready to go.
I do that too, but without the roller.
Yeah?
I guess it just keeps your hands clean, the roller.
That's it. It keeps you from smelling like garlic all day.
True.
I cut off both ends, and then I squish it with the knife, and then it's like all the peel kind of just goes away. Like,
nice.
But that's another one that everyone's got their own way of doing it. That's
I want to hear what your listeners know on that. That's going to be really fascinating.
It's too funny. Well, and that's the thing. Like, when you're getting in the kitchen and doing these things, you can talk about it with a process with the kids, and then you know what? It really helps. Like, I know a lot of people that have picky eaters, and I know a lot of adults that are picky, or like one spouse is picky and the other will eat anything. And one of the big differences is when they were kids, they got in the kitchen, they were cooking with their grandma or baking with their grandma, or they were cooking with their parents. And it really makes a big difference when kids are part of the process, instead of like kind of, sitting in a different room watching TV while mom does the cooking or dad does the cooking. I think it's really important to include your kids in the process.
I fully agree. I think the more involved they are, the more they realize how valuable the food is that they're eating, and how much love and attention goes into creating the meals that they have. And, I think there's a lot of pride when a kid makes something that they are, happy to eat, happy to serve other people. There's a feeling of confidence that comes from that really does build up their little egos, especially when they're really young. So yeah, I think you're totally right, Sandra. Having them help, especially just knowing that one day they will be doing it all on their own, to help them prepare for that. It's really smart to have them feel involved right from the get-go.
It's also one of those things that, as an activity, being able to sort of accomplish it at a young age and feel like I can cook something, it's an activity that you generally see adults doing.
Yep.
So if you're 6, 7 years old and you're able to do what an adult does, I mean, how much confidence does that give you? Because there's not that many things like that, where children of that age are able to do what adults are doing. So it's kind of one of those neat life skills you can start at a young age and be successful with it. And it's huge for your confidence.
I really agree. And I do have a friend who's got kids who are now 12 and 14. She's got a pair of twins who are 14 and a 12-year-old. And they're becoming proper chefs now, just by finding recipes at home, trying things out together as a family, doing experimental cooking, trying out weird gastronomy, packages that they find online. And the kids are becoming really very talented chefs, and they're just so young, they can take that for the rest of their lives and be able to do so many amazing things with that. So I'm impressed by them and the way they've given their kids the freedom to explore food.
Yeah, love it.
I think that's a key message there. Freedom to explore food and, increase the variety, like in the diversity of different foods so that kids are exposed, because I think it's really important when they're young to be exposed to a lot of different foods and a lot of different recipes. And just because as they go out into the world, like if they're going to a friend's house or a birthday party, if they've been kind of only exposed to a very small range of foods, and maybe there's no milk in the kids' family house, and then all of a sudden they're at a kid's birthday party, and that's all the drink that there is, and it's like, oh, I can't have that. I can't, like it really limits the child. I think that if they're being almost, I don't know, micromanaged, or I don't know what the term would be, like almost not exposed to a lot of variety in their home, that then when they're going out into the world, it kind of creates a little bit of, like they could be a little bit more scared of like the food, or not scared, but just not take the risk of
absolutely, a little bit trepidatious about it. I would agree. Yeah. And I think the more they see us as adults being flexible about what we eat, where we eat, and how we approach new food experiences, that allows them to be a bit more brave about it. And I really think that makes a huge difference. What we've noticed is that, my kids like pretty basic food right now because they've got their very young taste buds. But one of the things I told them when they were really little was that as you age, your taste buds do shift and grow and change. And actually, about every 2 weeks, I believe, taste buds do kind of evolve as you're a kid. So things that taste bad 1 week might actually taste good 2 weeks later. And that's been a really helpful tool with us in our house, because I keep getting my kids to try foods, even if they reject them the first time. Just again, with that idea that every 2 weeks, your taste buds are changing. So maybe these foods will be more acceptable as you grow. And that's been really helpful, especially for vegetables in our house, because my kids started off very averse to vegetables. But at this point, they have a selection of vegetables they eat every single day with no issue. And I try to introduce a new one every week or so, just in some sense for them to get to know. So the one that we recently tried was eggplant, and that did not go over well because eggplant is a bit of a tricky one, just, sensory wise. But they both gave it a good shot. We have the 3-bite rule at our house. You have to give it 3 bites. And if you don't like it after that, then you're welcome to leave it on the plate. But they both gave it the 3-bite chance, and neither of them agreed with it after that. But, we could try it again in a couple of months, and they would probably be open to trying again. So I think that's really valuable, because a lot of kids get in their heads that things are a certain way and that's how they are. And the more flexible they are about those ideas, the more open to change they can be in the future.
I love that. That is so true. Yes, yes. And, I think it does take something like 16 introductions of the same food for someone to truly know if they like it or dislike it. So like, for instance, broccoli, if, they've tried it once or twice, try it in broccoli cheddar soup, or try it in different ways, so that it's not just raw broccoli that they didn't like the first time. It's like, that's the whole point. I love that you tried the eggplant and they tried it, and, after 3 bites, no, Mom, no, this is not going to work out here. But
that was a fail, but
yeah, exactly. Maybe, in a year, like eggplant Parmesan or Parmesan, and, if it's smothered in cheese and sauce, they might like it like pizza, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. And I think texture is a big thing for kids. It's more for kids than it is for adults. The way that food feels on your tongue makes a massive difference to them. And so I've really noticed that when you prepare food in different ways so that the texture is slightly different, that they do respond differently to eating it. So
totally.
Yeah, that's a really good way to get them to kind of be a bit more experimental with it.
Yeah, there's so many different senses involved with eating. It's the way it looks, it's the way it smells, the tastes, feels. It's not, we always just assume they don't like the way it tastes, but like you said, a lot of times it's the way it feels. And kids, I get it. They're into yucky things, and it's slimy, or it's funny looking, or whatever, right? And they won't even touch it. And I mean, even our kids as teenagers were like that sometimes, when we were like bringing something new home, and usually it was some kind of tofu thing, and they're like,
Yep.
is this tofu? And we're like, well, just try it. Yeah, it might be, but don't discard it before you've even tried it. You can't tell that it's tofu, and like really it's like a tofu sausage or something, and it's really close to the real thing, like meat, right? But it isn't. But they're like, oh, they just didn't want to even have anything to do with it because they just associated it with sort of the slimy, like, brick of tofu, like it's
or
completely
like health
different
food, like in quotes, health food, right?
Yeah.
Anything that's considered healthy doesn't have the fancy packaging and bright colors and things, and they're definitely less likely to go for something like that. But
I know.
You're right, tofu in particular is one of those ones you really have to convince kids is good. But we've tried it a couple different ways. I got them to make it into a dessert once that they really liked, which tofu doesn't really seem like a dessert substance, but actually if you blend it up with some sweet elements, you can make it into a really nice kind of like after dinner snack. And so they actually really got into that, even though I don't think they fully understood it was tofu. Like they missed that section of it,
right.
But they did eat it, which was great. And I never gotten them to really eat a whole portion of it before. So
that's funny. There is the dessert tofu as well, which is like yogurt, kind of like jello-y kind of yogurt. It's a little more like
a pudding almost.
Yeah. What else was I going to say? I can't remember.
Carry on. Okay. I was going to ask about like gardening, because when people involve their kids in gardening, then they actually they plant the seed of a pea plant, for instance, and then they water it and they weed it and they watch it grow, and then they can pick the pea and actually eat it. And like you said, it brings the appreciation to the food if they know what went into it to bring it to life and to get to your plate, right?
That's exactly right. We did that actually this year at our house. We had pea plants on our deck because we live right in the city, so we don't have a lot of space. But the girls planted their own pea plants, and each day they would go out and put their little hands over the plants and say love, and that's their way of putting love into the plant as it grows. And by the time they were able to actually harvest their own peas, it's almost like they'd made a relationship with these plants. They'd go out and talk to them and tell them how the day was going and make sure they were well watered. And when the time we got the peas themselves, they almost didn't want to eat them because it was kind of like their babies, it was very sweet. But the process of growing something is such a long-term commitment, and so to show them that with regular concerted effort that you can create your own food is really a powerful thing to give a kid.
It's magical for a kid to I'm going to take this little seed and put it in the dirt, and I just put water on it every day and it turns into food. Like, how cool is that?
It really is. It's
Do you know
amazing.
what I mean? Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's what a lot of schools do in the younger grades, just to sort of show life, essentially, right? It's how life is, and to experience that and be a part of that, it's a pretty cool process and experience.
I fully agree. And they're really pushing composting right now in schools, at least in the school that my daughter is in, and learning about how important food waste is and how food waste can be used to produce more food. And so my daughter's coming home absolutely thrilled about worms lately, which is so great to see. She's telling me all about worms and different kinds of worms and how different worms eat different foods. And it's just so great to see her understanding how we work together to try and make ourselves, self-sufficient and have the food that we need in our own homes and in our own, gardens.
Yeah. Do you guys grow the ends of your, Sandra's got these little things on the counter where she'll take the end of celery or green onions and stick it in a jar of water on the counter and it grows new stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool to see too, because you're like, what? That's most people would toss that, but it just grows a new one.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we do that with green onions, and we've got a kiwi plant going that we actually harvested the seeds from.
Sweet.
And so far they're sprouting, which is exciting. I'm not sure how they're going to do over the winter, but we've got one of those little broad spectrum UV lights in our kitchen, and we sprout things using that.
Is your kiwi in the kitchen?
The kiwi's in the kitchen, yes.
Wow. That's so neat. Awesome. I'd love to hear how that works out. We've got a kiwi plant here. It's this crazy, we get insane amounts of food off of it.
Do you really?
It's 300 pounds of kiwis, and they're they look pounds. They're bigger than golf balls. They're massive.
No way. That's amazing. Wow.
It's also
the island apparently is a good climate for kiwis. I didn't even know that until we started this project.
Yeah. It's also much just like 40, 50 years old too. And we didn't have any part of growing it. We just get to, benefit from all the fruit it produces. But yeah, it's obviously the right soil and climate and everything. But from what I've understood, they're difficult to grow. So that's why I'm curious to see how yours do.
Yeah, well, we'll have to check in later on. I'll tell you.
Totally.
That's awesome.
That would be awesome. The other thing is like with the growing your own vegetables, it's good for kids to I've seen clients where their kids will only eat packaged foods, like foods that like goldfish crackers that all have the same shape, or hot dogs or whatever. And they will not eat vegetables and fruits because they all are different. Like they have weird and wonderful shapes. But it's in the child's eyes, it's a bit scary. They want something that's uniform, that's the same. If they open it, it's going to be the same every time. And I think when you're growing your own food, then you get to see that how, plants are all different shapes and sizes, and they're not factory cut or factory made where they're perfect shape,
Yep, they're unique like us.
Exactly, like snowflakes. Yeah.
We've got a weekly newsletter that we put out. In one of the parts of the newsletter, it's called Vegetable of the Week or Fruit of the Week, because it's hard to think of a new vegetable every week. But the intention of that was to sort of give people an idea of what's out there and what you can do with it. And because so many times you get stuck in that rut where you're using the same thing all the time. You go to the store and you buy your apples and your bananas, and then you buy your, I don't know, whatever your vegetables are, and people are just like, there's, what did you say, Sandra, like 200 some odd different variations of vegetables available?
Yeah, I can't remember the number either, but it's a lot.
It was hundreds. And it's like, well, that's crazy. Most people don't know what to do with half this stuff. So that's why we thought, oh, we'll stick this little segment in the newsletter and give people an idea to try something new. And this is what you do with it. And this is why it's good for you and that sort of thing. So it's good to try those things. And there's tons of information online as well. So, I mean, you don't need to be part of our newsletter, but that's a plus if you are. But just go online and just say, okay, what do I do with an eggplant, or what do I do with a whatever that you buy at the store, and just try some new stuff. And there's awesome recipes and awesome ideas.
I think generally people stick to the same 4 or 5 different fruits and vegetables. And when they go to the grocery store, they just get the same ones every time because of our modern life and we're so busy. It's really hard to, especially when you're feeding a family and you know what your kids like and you know what your spouse likes, and you end up going to those same vegetables and fruits. But it's really important to I like that you tried the eggplant, because just once a month, just buy something different, buy something new. And it really helps to expand your horizons of, eventually it's really good also for the kids' health in the future, because if they're eating more variety, more diversity of plant foods, we know that's beneficial for gut health, for the gut microbiome. And it's really good for their adventure spirit of being able to try new foods that they've never tried before, because it is scary. For young kids, it can be scary to try something that maybe they have never been exposed to in their home. So it's really good I love your story about your friend who has the twins and the kids who are starting to they're becoming almost gourmet chefs because they're experimenting in the kitchen. I think it's such an important life skill. It really is. We know that if you're cooking foods at home, you are going to be healthier in the long term than if you're always having packaged processed foods or fast food or restaurant foods. It's just, the evidence is there. We know that it's important. And we know also that the whole skill of cooking and preparing food is kind of an endangered species. We're not, passing that skill on to our kids, because in our life, it's our convenient modern living. It's a lot of work, and there's dishes, and there's, buying foods and then they go bad, or, so it's something that I think it would be great if it became more of a priority for young families to get in the kitchen, get dirty with their kids. I love what you're doing with your kids.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. I actually learned everything I know from my dad, who was always kind of the cook in our house. And he would used to take us to the grocery store and set us loose and say, go find one fruit and one vegetable that you've never tried before.
I
And so we'd
love
run to
it.
the store, we'd like feel them, we'd touch them, we'd smell them, we'd find the weirdest, most random fruit or vegetable in the store. My dad would buy it and bring it home, and we'd try and make something out of it. And that was always such a fun way to hang out with him and kind of bond. And of course, we made some pretty disgusting stuff, but it was worth a shot. He really liked Chinese and Japanese vegetables, especially, but of course, didn't have a lot of experience cooking them. So we ended up with a couple of gross meals, but that was kind of fun too. They were really memorable meals that I'll never forget. And I always really appreciated my dad for being adventurous that way and bringing that into our lives.
I think that's so wonderful. I love, and that's like memories, right? Like that is like, it's a very happy memory that you have, and it's relating to food. I love that.
Mm-hmm. I will say another thing that I've really noticed with my kids anyways, is that when they are around different foods or in the situation where they're in someone else's home and learning about foods, they will ask a lot of questions like, well, what's in this and how was it made? And, I don't normally ever do that. I've always kind of thought it was a bit rude to ask questions about other people's food, but they're kids, they don't really have those same social concerns, right? But the fact that they're interested in it and they want to know where it's come from, who made it, that sort of thing really shows me that they're interested and curious about the food that they're being offered. And I think that's really cool that they can vocalize that.
I think it shows that they're curious for sure and interested, and it shows that they understand it. Like they're part of that in their own kitchen, and that's why they're asking, because it's familiar to them,
Exactly. Yeah. I really try and get my kids to be, again, like I've said, as curious as possible about every aspect of who they are. And I think food is part of your identity. The way that you relate to food really helps you relate to a lot of other things. And if you're curious and open-minded and adventurous, then you're more likely to try things that you maybe also like, but also dislike. And, you get a little bit of variety in your world, a little bit more of a spectrum on one aspect of your life. And I think that's really a good thing.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And when like eating together is another thing, right? Like we know that a lot of families just don't have time, or they're so busy with extracurricular activities or working or whatever it is that, I think they did a survey about a few years ago, and they found that grade 4, so they surveyed grade 4s in BC, and they found that it was like 1 or 2 meals a week that kids actually sit down with another person that's over 19. So that was kind of the criteria.
That's
It's just, It's not happening. Like people are just eating in their own, at their office or, in their own parts of their house, and not like actually sitting together at a meal. And I think it's such another thing that's such an important part of kids learning about relationship to their family, relationship with themselves, like gain confidence. And just, we know that kids that are kind of isolated and not eating together have challenges. Like they have lower grades in school. They have less confidence when they're, trying to do different things in the world. They actually end up doing more risky behaviors like alcohol and drugs and even teenage pregnancy. So there's things because of that connectedness that we have with eating together and with family meals. It's such an important piece of the puzzle for families with young kids to like have a meal together at least a couple times a week. If you can't manage it every day, like it's got to happen fairly regularly so that the kids have time to, sit with their family. They learn their family traditions. They learn like some rituals. They learn kind of the foods in the house, and the conversation doesn't have to be about the meal. It can be about what was good in your day, or what really bugged you today. Like who was your friend today, like different things that, open up the conversation about like just their life. Right.
I fully agree. And I think the most organic conversations I have with my kids are at dinner time every day, because they download their day to me. They tell me what silly things they're thinking about. They jump around and have all this energy, but eventually I can get them back to the table for at least a couple minutes to focus. And, my kids really, they have 6 grandparents in our neighborhood. And so almost every week they will have a meal with each set of grandparents. And I think that gives them such connection to them, such a sense of place and self. And there's nothing better than sitting around a big table full of people you love, and I think that applies to adults as much as it does to kids.
Oh, I love that. It's so amazing. Important. Oh my gosh, that is, and just the intergenerational, like just the cherishing elders, like just learning that, if they're not exposed to eating with older people or grandparents or other age people, then they might not have an appreciation. Just like, when you're not exposed to nature, you might not appreciate nature. It's the same kind of thing. Like, I think it's such an integral part of life skills and growing up as a more well-rounded human.
I fully agree.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. A question we ask all of our guests on the show is, because we kind of like covered all the things we wanted to talk about. And I wanted to see about if you're going to have a potluck, what dish you would bring to the potluck.
Yes, I love this question. I think that's such a great way to end interviews as well. And I was thinking about that because, to be honest, at potlucks, I'm usually running around after kids. That's kind of my niche.
Yes.
I'm entertaining the kids so that the adults can chat. But usually, if we're going to go to something really big, I like to bring dessert because I'm a big dessert girl. And my kids love berry crumbles. They're super into throwing a bunch of either frozen fruit or fresh fruit into a big container and putting oats and honey and that sort of thing on top and baking it. And, it's kind of messy and, a bit chaotic, but it's warm and it's something you can share, put with ice cream, and that always seems to be a hit at any party we go to.
Oh, yes. That sounds delicious. I love making berry crumble. That's a great idea.
One of my favorites. Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Oh, that's so cool. And, Rob and I one day are going to do like a road trip. Like around North America. We want to like visit all our guests we've had on the show and have the potluck dish that they have.
That's awesome. Well, you're always welcome here, and you can come doing some kiteboarding as well while you're visiting.
Yeah, he can be our first stop because you're the closest.
You're the closest. That's right.
Just right. I live right next to the best kiteboarding beach in all of Victoria, so you're more than welcome.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. Oh my gosh, Asta, this has been such a great interview. And where can people find more about you or what you're doing? Maybe the podcast that you have with your kids?
Yeah, so our show is called the Penny and Joe Podcast, and it's available on Apple Music and Spotify. And we also have a Podpage website for it if you want to look it up. And we try and do episodes every 2 weeks or so, and we're always looking for kids to send us story ideas. So if you have any kids out there that want to help us write a story about Penny and Joe, our little raccoon friends, we would love you to send us an email and give us your ideas.
That sounds super fun.
Totally. I love that.
Such a unique idea.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we look forward to connecting with you soon again.
Thank you guys, and thanks for all the amazing things you're doing for your community. We appreciate it.
Oh, that's so nice. Thanks again for joining us, Asta.
No problem.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was fun. We covered everything from cracking an egg to peeling garlic to getting dirty in the garden.
Yeah, I was kind of unsure what direction this interview would go. And it was awesome. I mean, there was so much great information that we covered.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then, really, these are all different ways for parents and grandparents to do fun activities with the kids and getting them into nature, being creative and exploring, in parks and beaches and in the garden. And also just, this is a great way to reduce screen time because that's always the default.
Exactly.
And it also just bringing in the whole fact of eating together and making food more of part of an activity that the family does, like the different tasks involved with meal planning and grocery shopping and preparing food and doing dishes and cleaning up. All this is part of what we need to do as families to get our kids
excited about it.
Yeah. And confident, build their confidence and resilience around what to do with food.
Yeah. It's not just about eating. It's about using food and meal times as an opportunity to teach your kids things. And like you said, give them confidence and create a family activity from shopping to growing food to, like Asta said with her dad, like go find something you've never eaten before, and we'll figure out how to cook it. Like, that's awesome.
Yes.
And so many people are missing that opportunity because their lives are so rushed.
Yes.
And they just come home, they throw a pizza in the oven. They don't have time to eat together, and it's not just a missed opportunity of a mealtime. It's a missed opportunity of all those things we just discussed.
Wow.
So,
that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. And I hadn't thought about that either, really. Even though we've discussed it a few times, but it kind of really hit home just with some of the things that Asta was discussing and how she explained it. I'm like, yeah, it's totally confidence building. It's totally like these creative opportunities. And yeah.
Yeah, it starts from, when they are weaning from breastfeeding or formula feeding, when they're starting to finger paint with the food on their high chair, it's about texture, it's about color, it's about smells and tastes. And kids need to learn about different foods and different types of sensory input for what they're experiencing in the world around food and eating, and having the opportunity to have a variety and diversity of different foods and fluids. And so that they do feel confident as they go out into the world on their own.
Mm-hmm. And something else that I liked that she kind of figured out on her own was it's okay to be messy. It's okay to, when you're cooking, to get messy, to make mistakes.
That's
to break,
a tough sell for a lot of people.
To break the egg, and it is a tough sell.
Yeah.
And it's so often we're focused on
the outcome.
Yeah. And not making a mess and keeping it clean and not making mistakes and getting through it as efficiently as possible, and your kids don't learn if that's how they're experiencing life.
Yeah.
They need to go through those obstacles in order to come out ahead on the other side.
Yeah, I know. And we even in some of the baby groups we do about kids learning, introduction of solid foods, and talking about not covering every surface with a tarp or a bib that's massive, so that it's keeps everything clean, because it sends a message to the kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be messy. It's part of the experience of learning about the food and the texture and the color and how it feels and everything. And if we separate that physically with the bib, or with it sends a message to the child that it's more important to be clean and orderly and have everything tickety-boo.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that your child's going to grow up and be a complete slob. I mean, you can teach organization, and it's both, you're teaching them that it's okay to make a mess, but once we're done making a mess, this is how we're going to clean it up. And then that becomes an activity too. Mm-hmm. I remember when our kids were in kindergarten, they had a little song that they sang, they'd all blow up their toys and their Lego everywhere and all this stuff all over the floor. And the last 20 minutes of the class was cleanup time. And they had this little clean up. It's what we're going to do. And everyone got excited about it. And they're singing this song and putting toys away. And I came in one day to help out or came in early. And I'm like, wow, what happened? How did you do this? They're all excited about cleaning up. And this is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't have to be something you avoid doing. It's all how you teach and engage your kids with creativity, and that takes time, which unfortunately, like we said, there's a lot of people who just don't have that time, but it's so important to make the time for that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I hope people look up the podcast,
especially if you have kids. It sounds like a super fun little podcast that she has with her kids. Sorry, you have the name of it there, Sandra?
Penny and Joe.
Penny and Joe, the Penny and Joe podcast. So check that out. It's basically them just telling stories about
the two raccoons that live in Beacon Hill Park.
Yeah, I was going to say squirrels, but raccoons. Maybe there could be a squirrel or two in it someday.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But it sounds fun. If you've got kids, I'm sure they would enjoy listening to it as well. Or if you want something totally different to listen to, check it out. Might be fun for adults as well. So thanks again for Asta. We really appreciate you joining us today and sharing your thoughts on all sorts of different things. And hopefully that message sinks in with a whole bunch of people too. And we can crank out a new breed of kids who are going to be creative and confident and healthy eaters.
Love it.
So if you want more information about what we're doing, check out our website. It's mywifethedietitian.com. We've got a great blog on there. We've got a free newsletter you can join. That's all sorts of different ideas. We have our freebies page on our website as well, where you can download usually recipes. I think that's mostly what we have on there now, but you never know. We might throw some other things on there from time to time. If you have questions for us, feel free to email us at mywifetherd@gmail.com. Love answering listener questions. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And feel free to reach out to us there as well. And if you're liking the show, let us know. You can rate and review the show through most podcast players. You can comment on our social media pages. You can send us private messages through our email if you want to reach out that way. It's all super helpful, and we love just hearing what listeners are thinking of the show. It really helps us keep things moving forward here and inspires us to keep plugging away. And if you like the show, I'm sure your friends would too, so be sure to share with them as well. And that is it for this show. Thanks again to Asta for joining us. We will be back on Wednesday with Nutrition Nuggets. So until then, have a fantastic week. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.